Welcome to another episode of From Shadows to Strength podcast. I am your host, Tyson, alongside my co-host, Jay. If you have not already done so, please hit that subscribe button so you never miss another podcast episode. Today, we are going to be talking about motivation. Everyone needs motivation to get started. So we're going to talk about kind of the good, the bad, why it's important, maybe even some dangers when it comes to motivation, types of motivation. Dark motivation. Yeah, I heard that term actually, I think it was a day or two ago. And once I kind of realized what the guy was talking about, dark motivation, shame-based motivation, I was like, oh yeah, I remember using that. Yep. Okay. So definitely something that hit a nerve and something I'm going to talk about. I'm sure Jay maybe has some feedback on that as well. I think this is something that a lot of guys can relate to. So before we get into it, I always like to start with a quote. Motivation is fleeting. It's what gets you started, but building the habit and in turn creating the identity is what will sustain you for the long run. So with that being said, Jay, thank you for being here. My question for you to start is, what role does motivation or did motivation play in achieving long-term goals for you?
This is a good one because it's like I've used hate motivation. I've used trigger motivation, childhood trauma motivation, and then just inspiration motivation where I want to achieve more. So I've used it all in a big package. Like when someone, you fail at something or someone tells you can't or, you won't be good enough for that, then there's a bit of that like hate motivation. You want to prove them wrong. You want to show that person or show whoever said it to you. There's trauma motivation where you're like, yeah, okay, just watch. Just watch. And it's that quiet rage that builds up inside your stomach. And you're like, don't worry, I'm going to cash it in, and you're going to use it. So yeah, I've used them all. And some are good, obviously. Some are unhealthy. Some will make you push too hard or too long. Some will make you go beyond where you should and not train smartly. Some will make you overtrain and stuff. So you have to be able to pull back the anger ones, the hate ones and stuff like that, but it's so much easier to say than to do. But I've used them all in my years. That is for sure.
Okay, so like let's take some of your life experience which you shared in the other podcasts. So let's take, for instance, your journey into JTF. Right. When it came to being the best of the best. We were talking about that actually earlier today while we were training together. We were talking a little bit about it. Now, obviously, I know you probably use some shame-based motivation, some dark motivation there.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think there was something bigger than that, right? I remember you told us about your motivation was a bit the 9/11. That's when you were like, okay, I really want to serve, right? And I think that's, there's some honor behind that, of course. There's integrity. That's a kind of, I'd say, even a moral compass there, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the difference between, motivation, getting the ball started, so to speak. But fundamentally what carried you through, I would say, is because that's who you are, right?
Yeah, I would like to think so. Like I've always wanted to achieve, and when I'm dedicated to something, I want to see how high I can go and stuff like that. But a lot of it, to be honest, was I wanted to beat my dad. My father was in the military, and I had a love-hate relationship with him. I wanted to be a higher rank than he got, and I wanted to be at the top of the top. And like you can't make it any higher, JTF2. And I wanted to get that just to show him. Just there was, duty and honor. I wanted to make it for myself and all that. But 25% of it was out of some spite, some deep down.
I love that.
There was about 25% spite in there. It was deep down. I was like, I will show you. And I remember the day I graduated and everything else, I went and had dinner with my family and I sat across the table and I remember just staring at him. And I was like, just waiting for him to say something to me, just waiting. I had rage built up in me like I've never had before. And I was just like, say something. And he never brought it up. He didn't say anything. He kind of left it alone. But I was like years of just getting this ready. I was ready for the explosion. I had that thing packed in a suitcase, ready to go.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Why do I
So
feel like there's a whole therapy session right
yeah,
here that we need to talk about? We need to dissect this a little bit, like this is why I tell people, right? Overpaid counter, underpaid therapist over here,
yeah,
like this is what Jay and I like go through in our intersections. Cause I know there's a little bit of trauma right behind Jay when he's doing something, right? But no,
yeah.
I look, I get it, right?
Mhm.
There's definitely maybe validation, right? I think there's always a bit of validation when it comes to motivation, right? You want to be able to prove maybe to someone, to yourself, which I think is the most important, is proving to yourself that you're able to do something.
Right.
But yeah, I get it. Just being able to almost throw it back in someone's face and be like, yeah, bleep you, I told you so.
Yeah.
I can do it, and like I just proved it. And that's almost like what you were waiting for, is just being able to be like, yeah, I did the hardest test possible that broke X amount of guys during the test. And I did it, and I did it in my first try.
Yeah.
Right. Reminds me of Good Will Hunting,
Oh,
where he
yes,
gets that
yes.
girl's number. And then
Yeah.
he goes over, he sees the guy in the coffee shop after the bar, and he's like, "You like apples?" Guy's like, "Yeah." He slams the number against the window, and he's like, "Well, I got a number. How do you like them apples?"
Yeah. Do you know how many
And
people right
it's
now are looking up or Googling Goodwill Hunting right now because they have no idea what you're talking about?
yeah. For any of you young guys, you need to get cultured with some good old movies, the classic movies, the 80s and 90s, even some early 2000s movies. It used to be acting that carried movies, but I digress. I don't want to get too far off topic, because yeah, we could definitely do a podcast on the nostalgia of good music and good movies from when we grew up, because it's not the same anymore. That's for sure. So, like as a trainer and a coach and a mentor, like this is something I see very often when people come to me to maybe want to get in the best shape. I mean, we can all know and are familiar with the New Year's resolution, right? People are highly motivated at some point in the year to want to facilitate change in their life, to want to start some kind of change in their life, right? And I think that's admirable. I think motivation is it. That's kind of what gets the ball rolling, right? It's good. You're gonna maybe wake up one day, see what you look like in the mirror, and just be like, all right, you fat sack of,
Yeah.
that no more. I'm gonna put the fork down, and I know I need to get to the gym, and that's great. That is going to get you started. But motivation, it doesn't sustain you for the long term. And that therein lies is why it's so important to make sure that when you start your journey of redemption, as I kind of affectionately have coined it for myself, right? And for a lot of people, when we get to that point, we almost want to redeem the wasted time, the wasted part of our life that we've kind of thrown away, that we've taken for granted, in order to almost have a second chance at bettering our circumstances, our situation, and make the most of the time we have remaining. And I think that's admirable. I commend. Maybe you're listening to this right now and you're thinking, yeah, like I love listening to these two guys. I mean, I really hope you guys like listening to us, because we talk a lot. But that you're maybe motivated to and inspired to want to change your lives for the better. So when you get that motivation, phenomenal, great. But what we need you to understand is that motivation's only going to take you so far. It's only going to sustain you for so long. And where it kind of has its limits is when life starts lifing. And by that, I mean, maybe 3 weeks in, 4 weeks in, maybe you miss a workout. Maybe nutrition falls off a little bit, right? You go out for a dinner, or you have a get together, you're at your in-laws, or you're at a friend's house, and maybe you cheat on your diet. Maybe you didn't get to meal prep because the kids had an event, and you weren't able to make the time for it. So now your whole week is thrown off. You don't get to do the foods you should be doing in order to hit your macros. And that, like that's where that motivation is in jeopardy, because you haven't yet built that habit. You haven't yet built that lifestyle, and you haven't yet developed the identity that will take you through. So again, this is kind of goes into our second part. The second question I have is, what are the potential drawbacks of relying solely on motivation during those challenging times and setbacks? So for you, Jay, do you have any personal experience when it comes to this?
Yeah, definitely. So when GTF2, they go around to all the military bases, and we have theaters on all the bases, stuff like that. And so they say, okay, GTF2, like recruiters and stuff, they're going to be at these theaters. And if anybody's interested in trying out or anything, go listen to their spiel and stuff like that. So in the theater, you have I'd say about 300 people in the theater that are listening to this. And then at the end of that thing, about 250 say, I'm going to try out. I'm going to do it. Out of that 250, maybe it whittles down pretty fast. It's like once they say, yeah, 250 people, yeah, let's go. And then it's like, okay, you got to go do your PT test. You got to fill out your paperwork. You got to almost kind of do like a minute of a resume, submit all that paperwork and get it in. You have a month and a half, the cutoff date. Right there, once you give somebody a deadline, they have to do something on their own, book their PT test, get stuff in, you probably lose about 100 guys right there. Just excuses, no time, we're saying yes because they were all in the hype,
So before we go any further, we talked about this earlier today.
Yeah.
So what are some common excuses you heard when guys would be like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go be the best of the best. What are some of the excuses? Because again, this is where I think a lot of people can relate to it because there's not much of a difference because I think all the excuses end up being the same. So share it with our audience, please.
Yeah. And then, so out of what's left, you have to start training. So the PSP, they're like a physical training group on military basis, and they will help you with plans. They'll put training plans together for you like a trainer would. They're like, okay, if you're going to try out, well, you need to work on running. You need to work on sit-ups. You need to work on push-ups. And they put this plan together. And then he says, every morning, 6 a.m. before work, I'll run a class for anybody who wants to try out. So first class, first day, you got about 150 people there, maybe 100, And then by the end of that first week, you've lost about 50% of them. And it's because, my kids were sick. It's too early in the morning. My wife doesn't like me leaving the house that early. My wife likes it if I'm home more. My truck isn't running right. I don't know about this year, maybe next year. I'm just not feeling it this time. Oh, I've had this cold for a week. Dude, every excuse.
My shoulder.
Everything. Like, this is a bad time. My boss doesn't want me to leave. He says I'm too valuable. I got this real cool exercise, and in 2 weeks, I'll join the class. In 2 weeks. By the time that little 6-week training session is done, I swear to God, there's about 25 guys left. 25 guys out of the 300 that was at the theater.
Wow.
And that's just a 6 weeks kind of introduction training course. After that, you have to continue on your own. After that, you have nobody helping you because that person at PSP, they have to go help another group, or he has to go do some, train other people, do normal military testing. So out of that 25, maybe, I think it came down to there's about 6 of us. 6 of us left that continued to train together on our own all the way through. And there was every excuse. Every time we'd see those guys in the mess at lunchtime. Hey, how come you weren't there this morning? I just overslept, and I slept wrong, and my neck kind of hurt, and I didn't eat properly last night, and the kid was crying, and the wife didn't want me to leave and help her out. Like, they use kids, spouses, wife excuse more than anything I've ever heard. And I remember you telling me once a client said that to you, and you said, you know what? Let's give them a call on speaker and see if we can arrange something. And they're like, no,
your boss,
no.
your wife, your kids. Yeah. Sure, let's all call them up. I want you to tell them that the reason why you're this fat lump of crap sitting in front of me is because it's your wife and your kids and your boss's fault.
Yeah.
I can't wait for them to give me some feedback on that.
Yeah.
No. That's not what I meant.
Yeah. And then it's like, I had to shovel the driveway this morning. Like, every excuse, and to the point where you just stop asking them. You're like, what? If you want it, you'll show up. Because the motivation, everybody's motivated in the theater. The first week after the theater, everybody's riding high in that motivation. But after
what's the theme music they got playing when they're giving that? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, the Rocky. Eye of the Tiger, stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm going to do it. Woo!
Yeah, people leave that theater, everybody, not a one single maybe like 5 people say, no, it's not for me. Everybody in that theater is like, I'm doing it. Let's get on this paperwork right away. We'll start training first thing tomorrow morning. Within a week, that motivation is gone And what it comes down to is how bad do you want it? Are you past the motivation part where the commitment, you have to kind of move out of the motivation and join the commitment part. And most people can't make that transition from motivation to commitment. Lifestyle.
You know what's really interesting? Like, and I want the audience to understand this. These aren't Joe Blows off the street. These are military, right? So there's already discipline ingrained. There should be anyways.
Yeah.
Ingrained in these individuals. And this is what's so important for the listeners, for you listeners to understand, right? Is you can even have a relatively good form of discipline in. But when reality sets in, and I think this is the thing, right? Is they start actually looking into what am I going to be sacrificing? And you've talked about this over the next 12 months of my life.
Yeah.
Now I totally understand if a guy was to say, you know what, with my wife and kids at home, this isn't something I can do.
Yeah.
Now that I realize what the reality is that I'm, you know, I could miss a big part of my kids growing up, and that my wife is not going to have me around as much. You know what? It's not for me. You know what? I think anyone there could respect that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
'Cause
why
honest.
that's why you go to the briefs. You go to the theaters, they will tell you, okay, like military, you're already gone away from your house a lot. So people think JTF too, you're going to be gone twice as much or something. It kind of works out to be the same, that you're gone, that you're home and stuff like that. Like if you calculate the dates, could be longer, some parts shorter, other, but it all kind of works out the same, to be honest. But it's just a question of when they realize you can't go out drinking and partying on the weekend because you're just going to sacrifice your whole week of training. So your weekends are going to be boring for a year. You can still go out with your family, you can still do stuff, but the pizza, the beer, the football games, the getting drunk on weekends, to do it, all that, boom, is over for a year. You're in that, you know, your lunch hour, you sit around with the boys, joking, eating your sandwich, taking an hour lunch, just being lazy. That's over. Now you're in the pool. Now you're doing some extra push-ups. You know, you go home and you put the kids to bed, you do whatever you're going to do, spend time with your wife. And now you got to do your push-ups and sit-ups and stretching and foam rolling and everything at home. Like it is a full-time commitment. And that's the part. Motivation, once you commit that much, motivation leaves so fast. The harder the commitment, the faster motivation will leave.
Yeah, absolutely. It requires more dedication, more discipline. And the thing is, you didn't have that to begin with. Doesn't mean you can't do it. I mean, if it's something you really want to do, like you, it was like almost in your DNA for you to become special forces, almost in your DNA. And that's why I think you were so successful for it, is like for you, it was who you were. It was a part of your identity.
Yeah.
So there wasn't like, I've got to do this extra work. Yeah, okay, you know what? I'll do it. Like I'll sacrifice. If that gets me to this next level, to be who I always knew I was meant to be, yeah, I'll do it. Right? But for people to leave that comfort, and like you said, well, now your weekends change. Not that you can't enjoy life or you can't do life anymore, but life changes. Right?
Life changes drastically on weekends. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's most people's, one of their biggest kind of vices. Right? Oh, I just need to unwind and decompress with a drink. No, you don't need to. You want to. That's what you're accustomed to doing. Right? You've conditioned yourself to unwind with a drink. And I've had this discussion a lot of times with a lot of male clients. Right? Oh, I just need to cut back, cut loose with the boys on the weekend. We just like to have, like a 6-pack. I'm like, really? You need to have a 6-pack? No, you don't need to have a 6-pack. Right? This has been what you've been doing for a long time. And because of your friends, this is what you do. And look, that's what you want to do. That's your life. You're a grown man. You make your choices. I'm a grown man. I make my choices. Well, when you're coming to me and telling me, hey, I want to change my life. Well, then you need to change your life. You can't go half in, half out, right? 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Oh, I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week. I'm going to eat really good. But come the weekend, I'm going to eat like an asshole and drink like a fish.
Yeah.
But no.
And what did you say? What was that? You had a quote, a really good quote that you read somewhere, or something like you can't outlift a bad diet or something
Yeah,
like that.
you can't outwork a bad diet. Like
Yeah.
you can't. You can't. So if you want to make real fundamental change, and again, I've said this before, you don't have to do it all at once, but you have to understand, right? In order for it to be a success in the future, motivation will help you get into the gym.
Yeah.
But it's going to be now the habit, right? So once you develop that habit within that first month, go as much as you can. It's okay if you miss, but go as much as you can. Don't worry if you miss a week where I'm supposed to do 3, you only did 1. It's okay. That's one more than none, right? Give yourself the win. I had a client today, someone I'm working with today through mentoring, right? She was comparing herself to, well, when I was younger, I did a 10K. I used to do 10K steps every day. Today I only did 4. You've been struggling the past 2 years. Like, stop worrying about what you did and start focusing on what you're doing, because who you were and who you are, you'll never be that person again, but you can build the kind of that new version of yourself right now, which means you have to give yourself a little bit of grace, not excuses, but grace.
Yeah.
Understand where you currently are is just different from where you were. You didn't have a kid back then. You have a kid now. So you're just going to have to do things a little bit differently. You have to change your self-talk. You have to not worry so much about being motivated to do something as just say, you know what, I just need to get this done today. Right? I'm going to get it done today. I'm going to quit tomorrow. You wake up the next day, do it again. And then the next, get up, I'm going to quit. No, you get up, you're going to do it again. And you're just going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you might feel like quitting, but when you get up the next morning, do it again.
Yeah. You're really going to feel like quitting in the mornings. 100%. I guarantee you, when that alarm goes off and you're training hard and you breaking old habits and starting a new life, a new routine, a new healthy or motivation living, whatever you want to call it, living, that alarm is the worst thing in the morning, because you just want to snooze it and go back to bed and go back to that comfort life that your body's used to. But you changing those habits, breaking that eating, breaking all that badness, and getting your tight circle of friends, surrounding yourself with people that support you, getting off your phones, death scrolling, getting to the gym, it's the worst thing ever. And that alarm will call you back. Your bed will hold you down. I swear to God, your bed will hold you down in there and the covers
Your
won't want to go
blankets
off
become real heavy.
Yeah. But if you
Do I have a
kick
weighted blanket? No, it's just laziness.
Yeah. And it's the
It's
hardest
ingrained
thing.
behavior. Yeah.
I was so sore when I was training. My legs wouldn't work. I was foam rolling all the night, just trying to get the lactic acid out, roll the muscles, but you still got to get up and do it. A bad training session is still better than no training session. And that's what I
No.
always tell the young kids. Like, yeah, okay, you sucked. You screwed up that up. But did you still exercise? Did you still train? Did you still move? Yes. Okay, well, then it was still a win. You're not going to be Hercules every time. You're not going to do everything great. There's times, even today, I train with you, I'm horrible some days. Even you look at me like, man, your legs are weak, or my knee hurts or something. We have to back off. Doesn't mean it still wasn't worth going to the gym and not training. It's just if I have a joint injury or something's acting, we have to back off the weights on leg day, well, then we back it off. If my shoulder's acting up and you change a few exercises and we go lighter that day, I'm still training. I'm still showing up. I'm still going to eat my healthy calories. Still going to get my protein in and everything I need to do. Shitty days don't matter. No days matter.
Yeah. And it's good that you bring that perspective in. Is like a little bit of something is better than nothing. And that's again, still something I'm always telling my clients. Like, even if you just get your walk in today, do something for you. What
Yeah.
form of self-care were you able to do today? Because self-care, that is a first thing to go when you're struggling, right? Because you just want to quit. Like you said, like when you're building this new identity, your body wants to keep you where you are. Sorry, not your body. Your mind wants to keep you where you are, because even in this state of unhealthiness, it wants to keep you where it's familiar. Your mind's familiar here. There's no unknowns. It knows what it needs to do, right? Now you're asking your brain to do something that kind of is counter what you've been doing, right? Now you're deconditioning yourself. Hey, you know what? I know I need to do this. I know I can do this. Your brain's like, wait a minute. This is going to be hard. You're going to struggle. Come on. Come back to bed,
Yeah.
right? No, you know what? You don't need to do that today. No, you need to have some of that fast food you're missing, right? Yeah. Now, oh, you know what? This weekend, let's go hang out with the boys, right? All the boys who drink too much, who eat horrible food, who don't exercise, and who aren't motivated to do anything except sit there and complain about their shit lives, their unhappy marriages, and their rotten kids, and the job they hate. Yeah. Yeah, let's stay there. Right? That's comfortable. That's familiar. And I mean, I watched that happen that's why I was almost in a form of solitary confinement when I was in prison. My circle was small. There's very few people that I allowed myself to really spend time and waste any kind of energy, or not waste, but give any energy to. Because most guys were, even though they came into prison, and I'm telling you, when I was in prison, so many guys would come in. Oh, I'm going to get in the best shape of my life. I'm going to, and they'd be in the gym. Whenever you'd get a new load of fish, I guess you'd call it, new guys would come in, the gym would be a bit more full, right? The guys would come, guys would be training. Guys who understood. So like in maximum security and medium security, there was a fair amount of guys that were in decent shape. Why? Because the environment dictated the necessity to be in shape. Because there was a clear and present danger there, right?
Yeah.
It's a place where you want to be able to look like you can. Maybe even if you can't fight, you want to look like you can. And you want to kind of make guys second guess, like, that guy's pretty solid. Yeah, maybe he's not the guy I'm going to test. Right? But minimum. Now, guys would go into minimum from reception. And there was much less. Again, first couple weeks, new kind of load of guys would come in from reception straight to minimum. They didn't have to do max. They didn't have to do medium because they had maybe a nonviolent crime. So it was just like maybe drug trafficking or drunk driving or something like that, right? A lesser crime. You'd go straight to minimum. I'm going to change my life. No, because there wasn't a high degree of there wasn't a threat. There wasn't a requirement for them to actually stay motivated and to develop the discipline, the habit, the lifestyle that would sustain them for the remainder of their sentence. And then you're also spending time with the guys. So you're in condos there, and you're living with, anywhere from 6 to, I think some condos had up to 10 guys in it, but usually it was around 6 to 8 guys. And you get to be friendly with some of the guys, right? You get to know them. You start associating. You start cooking meals with guys. So that's why I never cooked with anyone, because I was eating 2 dozen eggs a day, 2 thick pork chops, about 500 grams of pork chops a day, and I was having half a container of cottage cheese, and of course, like, sweet potato, broccoli, and some oats and vegetables. Like, that's literally what I had when I was in minimum. I had that for 4 years. I think it was a minimum for 4 years. I had that for 4 years nonstop. Never changed. The only time I'd have different if I went to a private family visit with my wife and friends and stuff. Otherwise, strict, always like that.
Yeah.
Right? Because who I was. I didn't need motivation to do it. Did it because of who I was. These guys, they couldn't change because they couldn't let go of who they were. And who you are is going to attract your group of friends, your group of associates. And like I said, it's that 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You can't do that.
Yeah.
You have to know here and in your heart that you're going to have to say a lot of goodbyes. You have to burn a lot of bridges.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to buy a plot of land and kill a part of yourself and bury it there. Every day, still to this day, after all the shit I've been through, every morning I wake up and I make sure I acknowledge what hats I have to wear. Being a husband, being a mentor, being a coach, being a citizen, being a man of faith. What do I need to do that? to do those things, I acknowledge that. And in doing so, I am killing my doppelganger. I am killing a version of myself that looks like me, but is a threat to my freedom and a threat to what I built. Because that never goes away. There's always that part of us that lives.
I was just going to say, people think it goes away. He's just hanging in the back. And every now and then you turn your head and he's there and he's going, hey, hey. And he waves at you. He could be far back there, but he's still hanging out. He's, he's hopeful. He's hopeful you're going to get lazy. You're going to, aggravate your hamstring, pull a shoulder, hurt your rotator cuff, and you're going to sit on the couch one day, and then it's going to go 2 days, 3 days, and he's going to start getting closer and closer to you, and he's going to start coming back. People think they go away. They don't. He's always going to be around. He's always going to be like, dude, man, I got some new rum out here. They got some new spice rum.
The water's warm. Come on over here, bro. The bed's warm. For me, and to this day, and Joelle knows this, we'll be walking around, we'll smell someone smoking weed. Because now, everyone smokes weed.
Yeah.
Now, even though I haven't touched weed since 2000 and it was the last time I smoked a joint. I remember I went to reception. I believe it was the 11th of November, 2009. I got to reception, which is once you're sentenced, you go there for about 3 months. They kind of watch you, study you, analyze your case, and decide where they're going to send you. Now, if you're serving a life sentence, doesn't matter. You're going to max. I already knew I'm going to max, but they send you there anyways, right? They just want to observe and kind of then see, once you go to max, what kind of wing are you going to go to? You're going to go to a gang unit? You're going to go to kind of a gen pop unit? Where are you going to go? Where are they going to place you? Right now, when I was there, I saw a guy that I'd been in remand with, in provincial with, and he was about to go to Collinsville, which is a medium security. And he had some weed that he had smuggled in. And he decided, hey, I'm leaving. I know you got a life sentence, bro. I'm sorry you got that. And he left me with a gift. He gave me about 1 gram of weed with a little bit of tobacco, some rolling papers, and some matches. That's gold in prison. Okay. He gave me probably a little over $100 worth because it's expensive in there. Right. And he's like, for taking care of me because I used to be the president of the wing where I was in remand in provincial, right? A committee runs the wing. So you have president, vice president, secretary, whatever. It's hilarious. Sounds like political, but it's not. It's just basically the higher you are, the more, you get more food, you get a more cut if someone brings drug. Anyways, yeah, we'll get into that maybe in another podcast. I don't want to go too much into this, but he was nice enough because I took care of him when he was in there and helped him out a little bit. He left me with this, as as a thank you. And I remember oh yeah, thank you so much, man. And I went and rolled a joint, and I had a guy that I came in from provincial in on the bus, and we got to chatting. He was from a part of BC that I used to live in, and we got along really well. He was my cellie when we were in reception. So I was like, bro, I got some weed. You want to go smoke with me? And he's like, oh yeah. So we went outside, went off to the side, even though I'm sure they could see that we were smoking something out there, but the guards don't really care as long as you're not doing anything stupid. But there we are smoking, and I had the worst high of my life. And I know it wasn't laced with anything, but it was just, I had the worst anxiety attack after, because I realized in provincial or remand, they don't drug test you there. But once you're in federal, they can drug test you at any minute, anytime they want. And now that goes on your permanent prison record. So if you're a lifer, guess what they're looking at? They're looking at everything you do. From the time you set foot in there to the time you leave. Now, if you're going to mess up, I guess it's better to mess up in the beginning. But I thought, man, if I get drug tested right now, I'm screwed. So there I am for 3 hours. I am just having the worst anxiety attack of my life sitting in my cell. And I remember that was probably the first time I prayed when I was in prison was the day I got sentenced to life in prison. The second time I prayed in prison was that day. And I was just like, God, please get me through this. I will never smoke a joint again in my life. And I've held that promise to this day. And like I said before, I'll be walking with my wife and I'll smell weed, and I still love the smell of weed. Like, I still love the smell of weed, you know? And she's like, oh, it's so gross. And I'm just like, oh, like, oh, that smells so good. Yeah, I love that smell.
Yeah.
But I know, right? This is where the identity comes in, is I know I can't. As much as I might like that smell, I have to hate what it represents.
Yeah.
Because I wasted 9 years of my life getting high, squandering my youth, pissing my time away. And then another decade behind bars. That's almost 20 years of my life gone.
Yeah.
It's a lot of time to waste.
Yeah.
And that's again, this is where talking to a lot of people, I'm sure you can relate in some way, shape, or form, right? We're motivated to do something, but then we smell that burger, right? Go to the LCBO. If you've got a problem with alcohol, right? You go to the LCBO. Like, that's the last place you should be walking into.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? You know, you're going around downtown, you're going to smell people smoking weed. Like, all these things are going to be triggers. All these things are going to be just these little friendly reminders of, don't you miss the old you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on. It's just a drink.
Yeah.
It's just a joint. It's just a meal. Right? Just enjoy yourself. You don't need to worry about the consequences.
Yeah, I remember
We've been telling ourselves lies for a long time.
I remember driving down, and I swear to God, like KFC at McDonald's pumps that smell outside on purpose. And when you're driving your car and your windows are down a crack and you get a whiff of that KFC and you're just like, oh my God, I just want to turn into that parking lot and get a 3-piece meal or something. And you'll regret it. You know it's the worst thing, but I swear to God, they pump that smell outside on purpose. And you just have to keep looking straight. Don't turn into that parking lot. Keep driving. I still to this day, I'll get a whiff of like KFC or something I haven't had in years and just be like, oh my God, I would love a 3-piece. You know, you would hate it afterwards. Your body would probably reject it and everything else.
My gut would be on fire for like a day after. I would be on the toilet. Like, I don't even want to think of like I would destroy a bathroom if I ate KFC.
I wasn't going to get that descriptive, but yes, I think.
No, I'm just telling you. Like, I know my gut would not handle KFC. It would. Sorry, I apologize to my audience. This is as real as it gets. My wife's probably going to be like, "Why would you say that, babe? I'm so sorry." I mean, like, you know what? It's funny. You talk about McDonald's, and I think everyone right now is like recently has been watching that McDonald's, the CEO. I think of.
Yeah,
the CEO of McDonald's I think he only bit the bun. I don't even think he got meat in there, you know? It's so good. It's like, you know what's funny? My last time I ate McDonald's was on my honeymoon. So this is, I want to say 8 months, 7.5, 8 months from me coming out of prison.
And what year
I
was
had
that?
McDonald's. This was back in 2018.
2018.
So 2018, I'd come out in January 18th. Yeah, January 18th, 2018, I was released. It's funny how 8s play in my life, okay? You have to understand. January 8th, 18th, 2018, I was released and finally was able to go home from my halfway house, okay? We were married August 18th, 2018. So 8/18/18. Okay? So kind of cool. Now, it was that I think it was a weekend after. We went to Crystal Beach. We went there for our little honeymoon. I could only get, I think they gave me 4 days to get away, which is really nice because usually they don't do that. But they did that for me, had a great PO who helped me out that way. And I remember I think it was like the Saturday night. I was starving. I was so hungry. And of course, Crystal Beach, there's nothing there. It's a little kind of, not a surf town, but a little beach town, right? And then like Niagara Falls is about 25, 30 minutes away. So I'm not going to drive there for food. But right across the hotel, there was a McDonald's. I remember I went and ordered food from there. So I like got my old favorites, like quarter pounder with cheese. I got a double Big Mac. I got chicken nuggets and I think I got fries. Like, I got a lot of food. I don't even think I ate half of it. And I was hungry. And you have to understand, guys, anyone who eats McDonald's I'm judging you. I'm not judging you because it's McDonald's. I'm judging, not because it's fast food. I'm judging you because even after a decade of prison food, McDonald's was worse. So to all you idiots that eat McDonald's and actually spend money on that, sorry, maybe not idiots. Sorry. I might lose some people here because of this.
Tyson's angry
I've
today.
never listened to this before. Even then, I was like, this food's disgusting. Like, prison food was better than McDonald's. Straight up. Like, I would have eaten prison food over that.
Yeah.
I was like, what did I just spend? I think it was like $30-some on this.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? And at that time, I think I was making like $18 an hour as a grunt in construction. That was like a lot of money, man. That was like almost 2 hours of work. I didn't even eat half of it. Like,
Yeah.
Oh my God. Anyways, I digress a bit, but yeah. So this is what happens when you're doing a raw podcast. Like, as much as we have things planned, we just kind of like share stories, funny stories, but hopefully this keeps the audience entertained. So third point to cover here, third kind of question, and we did touch about this when we first started. So what personal experiences have you experienced in life when it comes to motivation? You talked a little bit about the types of motivation you've used, right? Some good motivation, some dark motivation, right? Some shame-based motivation. What do you think are some potential maybe dangers in using that? Because that's what I'm going to talk about, but I want you to go first on using that, let's say, dark motivation or that shame-based motivation.
Well, it almost puts you into an unhealthy category or unhealthy training where you take it too far. You know what I mean? You don't train. There's a thing like you taught me about, let's train smarter, not harder. But back in the day, when you're using that rage motivation and everything else, you just train harder. And you think, if I go harder, that's the answer. And it's not. Like, if you can train smarter and look at your food and tie all three things and make them work perfectly, then it's a smarter training plan and you'll elevate so much better. But if you just rage train in the gym, but you don't think about your diet or you don't think about your recovery or don't think about your mental health outside of that, your training, your everything, it's not going to work. So I used my rage when I was training, but my diet wasn't on par. My active recovery, like to me, active recovery meant you were lazy. I should be in there training twice as hard. Active recovery is lazy. And I didn't understand that stuff. And all I was doing was damaging my body because I didn't have the whole package. I was using just hate and anger and that kind of motivation instead of using like inspiration or smart training or like effective, trying to get my whole plan together. And I remember there was this one guy, he told me that he's like, this would sound the cheesiest thing, but it actually worked on me. He's like, when it goes from 2000 to 2001, what does your brain want to do? Your brain after New Year's wants to write 2000 because it's what it knows. It's what it likes. It's what it's comfortable with. But you have to force yourself to write 2001. So you have to tell your brain 2000 doesn't exist anymore. 2001 exists. And you struggle. You struggle for the week, right? 2001.
Dude, that's so true. The first week, whenever I'd write things, I'm like, gosh, shit, wrong. And I always put the wrong year.
Yeah. So, but after a week of you fighting your brain, not letting it win, not letting it, going to get the best of you, your brain automatically starts writing 2001. And that's what training is. That's what eating properly is. That's what sleeping properly is. It's you fighting your brain to tell it, no, this is a new year. We're going to write something different. We're going to do this different thing. And I'm not letting you go back. And if you can conquer writing 2001 in a week, if you can conquer, whatever you got to do, and you just realize, hey, I just tell my brain, we are not doing that anymore. I am stronger. I am in control of my brain. My brain is not in control of me. Remind him that he works for me. We have to work together, but when it comes to the end of it, I'm the boss. And he has to follow me, and I'm going to set the example, and I'm not going to let him win. He's like an employee you love, but you also want to fire. You know what I mean? So you have to work with him, and you have to tell him this is how it is. You work for me, and that's it. And for some reason, the way he explained that to me has stuck in my head for my entire life. And I always use that analogy, and I've always thought about that. And
you can tell how old that analogy is, though, because no one writes dates really anymore. Like, very rarely do we ever have to write dates anymore, right? So it's like, it's true, because in especially when I was incarcerated, every time we had to fill out a form, like a request, right? Anything you want in prison has to go through paperwork. There's a paper trail for everything, right? And you have to keep a copy. So you get, like, there's like a white, a pink, and a yellow copy. So every time you write a request, one goes to your CO, one goes to your PO, one's for you, one's for your records. And you keep these. And yeah, every time a new year would turn over, usually the first few forums, damn it, I'd write the wrong year because it was 2008. Oh no, wait, now it's 2009. Oh, it's 2012. Oh, I wrote 2011. Damn it, and it's there. It's a habit. For the past year, we've developed a habit of writing that year. Now we got to relearn that faster, hopefully, than the month that usually it takes to instill a new habit.
Yeah. But you're gonna make mistakes.
It's a matter of thinking about it, and that's a great analogy. Just too bad it doesn't really work anymore. No?
It's true, but it's like if you write 2011 is 2012, you had a cheat meal, you didn't meal prep, you did something. Are you gonna start writing 2011 for now on? No, you're gonna get back on track. You're gonna write 2012, and you're gonna keep it going, and you're gonna tell your mind, you work for me, and let's do this. You
hear that, guys? We're going back to 2011. So we're going back to the good old days. Woo!
All I know is when
I was still incarcerated then. No, you know what? Let's just keep it where it is right now. I'm good like that.
All I know is when
I like that approach.
When I have to do anything online, and I got to do my birth year, it's like the Price is Right friggin' wheel, man. I got to whip that thing. Yeah, sometimes I got to give it a little. After I do a full wheel spin, I got to give it a little.
Another like half spin.
Quarter spin just to get it up there, and I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah, dude, I feel you on that. I'm just like, where's the 80s again? Like, oh my God, shoot.
Are you 80 or 81?
I'm 80.
Oh, so you just made Gen X.
Yeah, just
because if you were a millennial, I'd have to log off now, and we wouldn't be.
Yeah, I know. I'd lose my co-host right now. I'd be like, I'm done. Say I'm done. No, don't talk to me. Yeah, like for my take on that whole dark motivation and kind of shame-based motivation, like I remember that. I remember when I stepped into the YMCA, that would have been in 97 or 98. It was in my senior year. I think 98 actually. 98, my senior year, stepping into the YMCA, getting a gym membership there. And I was just tired. Like I went from being short and fat for a good chunk of my youth. Within 1 year, I was grade 10. Grade 10, I did some homeschooling. I got some really bad growth pains that also had like migraines. So I did like half a year of homeschooling. I went from like 5 foot, I think it was like 5'4", and I shot up to 5'10" in like half a year. So that's why I was going through like this migraine growth pain stage where I was at home getting homeschooled for a little bit from having tutors come to my house. I went back to school and everyone's like, no one even recognized it was me because I'd shot up so much. And I went from being this short, fat kid to now this tall, skinny, lanky kid. So as I was being made fun of being fat and short. Now I'm being made fun of being tall and awkward, right? Because I'm like trying to figure out how to grow into my body that like 6 months to learn being that much taller. It's awkward. Right. So in my grade 11, I felt better because I wasn't the short, fat kid anymore. But now I'm being made fun of because now I'm tall and skinny and awkward. And I wasn't as coordinated as I used to be. And then grade 12 I was just like, you know what? F this, I'm going to the gym. I was always kind of like into bodybuilding. I always loved Arnold growing up, and I was always reading Men's Health and Muscle and Fitness. And then I started getting into Flex magazine over that summer. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to the gym. And I found like this, I don't know if anyone, who knows the 90s bodybuilders. I found a Milo Sarkev. He was an Olympia competitor. I found his chest routine. That was the first thing I did. It was like 12 sets of chest or 15 sets of chest. This is my first chest workout ever, right? My first chest workout ever. I go and do that. Anyways, I'm digressing a little bit, but third set in, I'm doing decline bench press, and guess who gets the bar stuck on him right in front of the cardio equipment where all the ladies are? He's got 2 thumbs and is this guy right here. and I had the clips on, so I couldn't roll the weight off, right? I'm just stuck with 95 pounds on my chest until finally someone realized I was stuck under it and racked it for me. But that's what I used going in to get into the gym. It was a lot of negative self-talk. It was a lot of hate, self-hate, self-loathing, being bullied by kids, the things I went through with my grandfather, my father, right? And it was just fuel. It was years of rage and fuel, and it fueled me, I guess, you know, you could say in a positive way, to take some positive steps to better myself, but not the right fuel, you know?
It's fuel, but mentally, it's the wrong fuel mentally, because mentally it'll come back 20 friggin' years later and tap you on the shoulder. And that's what I went through, you know?
You know what I realized, and this is where I think a lot of guys listening to this, I want you to think about when you're using that kind of dark motivation or shame-based motivation, right? You're listening to some pretty dark voices, right? And it's almost like a tape on repeat, right? It's just playing. And one of the biggest things that I have come across personally, and with a lot of the guys I've worked with, is that negative self-talk. And it's like we've conditioned ourselves for so long to have this voice going, right? That's fueled us. Not in a healthy way.
No.
But that's fueled us. And it, you know, fuels your transformation. But it almost destroys you at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because my love-hate relationship with my dad, like, you know, people say parents are hard on you on purpose, but my dad went to another level. And then he was like, you know, you won't make it. You don't have what it takes. That's, you know, how few people get in and stuff like that. And he saw me training and stuff like that. And then one time it was like this, it's weird of what we remember. But I remember he came out of the house and I was running laps around them and I tripped. I tripped and like went down in front of him or something. And he was drinking his coffee and he looked at me and he kind of laughed. And he's like, you think you're going to make special forces. You can't even fucking have your feet work properly in front. And I was so angry because and then he turned around and like walked away like he was ashamed of me or whatever. And we had this kind of father-son battle for a while. And I remember that day. And there was times I was running and I was fading back or something. I was like, and I just kept going. I went faster and whatever. And it got me through a lot of stuff, that rage, but not handling my mental thing back then is really, you know, come out now. So, But yeah, that's where I could say, Tice, like I used it, like you say, it it helps you, but is it healthy? I don't know. I'm not an expert in that and stuff, but
no, it's not healthy.
You know,
it's not, because that fuel becomes your poison.
Yeah. Because
it erodes you slowly inside, right?
Killed
me.
Festers. It festered, all right. I wanted to beat the shit out of him. Until the day I graduated, I wanted to run to that house, kick in that door, and beat the shit out of him, and staple that certificate to his head. I'm sorry, but that's how angry I got about it. You know,
dude, I get it. I mean, for years I lived in. You know, I didn't really realize this. And like, please, I want my audience to understand. I want the listeners to understand, like, my grandfather was a good man. He had troubles. Like, we all have troubles. And like, you don't get this until you're older, right? Yeah, we had a rough relationship. We had a really rough relationship. But in prison, like, I forgave him and I love him. Like, I love my grandfather. I call him dad. Right, because I didn't have my dad growing up. Last time I saw my dad, I was 4.5. But my grandfather was not an easy man, right? And the more I got to understand how he was raised, and this is, people, you know, don't excuse his behavior. Like, shut up. I'm not excusing his behavior, but we do things. And even though his behavior might have been unacceptable, it was better than what he had been given when he was young. And these are the things you learn, right?
Yeah.
But I remember when I got strong and was at the gym, like really lifting hard. My mom remarried and my family was none too happy about that. She left me in Ottawa with them. She went and kind of started her life in BC. And like my mom, yeah, maybe it was not ideal for me. But again, these are all things that just life happened, right? I'm not mad at my mom for it. I was for a long time, but I just want to be mad at and excuse anything, right? So I was just looking for reasons. I was the problem, not my mom. Not that she got remarried, right? My grandfather wasn't the problem. I was the problem. But I remember one night he came, I was at their place and I was downstairs. I was watching TV and that was where I grew up. That house is where I grew up. And he came down. He was going off about something with my mom. And I told him, I'm like, look, you can say whatever. Like, I know I'm a screw up. I knew at this time I was a real screw up, and I was making some bad choices. I just started my first cycle of steroids. No one knew, but I was just on my first cycle of steroids. I was going to college. I was in Algonquin at this time, so I think I was 20. And I told him, like, look, you can say whatever you want about me, but you leave my mother's name out your mouth. Okay? She's not here. Keep your mouth shut. He didn't like that. I remember he got up and he came across the room at me, and I was sitting on the couch, sitting on one of my legs. That's how I always sit when I'm on the couch. My left leg. I got really good hip mobility because how I sit. Just on my left leg though. Sit on my leg, and he grabbed me by the throat. He'd done that when I was a kid, right? I used to be scared of him. I remember he grabbed me by the throat, and I just stood up, grabbed him, and threw him across the room. And I'm not saying this because I was proud of it, but it was the fuel. It was the rage, years and years of being afraid. And at this point, I was just like I'm not afraid of you anymore. Like, I'm not that boy anymore that you used to scare. Because I used to be scared when he would come home. I used to have anxiety when he would come home when I was a kid, right? I didn't know what kind of mood he was coming home in. I didn't know if he was going to come down and lay into me or whatever. I remember throwing him across that room, and that was the last time I saw my grandfather. I remember talking to him just before he passed, and he broke down on the phone and was just so sorry about all the things he had done. And I accepted it, and I was like, yeah, it's okay, Dad. I know, like, we all make mistakes. But man, when I got to reflect on that when I was in prison, all that stuff, right? We carry this stuff that we remember, that analogy I made, right? Of holding the fist tight, right? Yeah. For so long, we're sitting there, we're using that rage, we're using that rage-based motivation to get us going. It's like, that's not productive. This isn't good. Like, we need to just let it go. Because if you're doing it for the right reasons, you're going to be stronger. Like, letting go of that anger, letting go of that rage and that hate, that makes you healthier. That actually makes you strong.
Yeah, peace makes you strong. Yeah, 100%.
Calmness. Like, you look at someone who walks into a room who's angry, they don't have a good aura.
Yeah. You can sense
it's not an aura you respect. It's one that actually kind of repels you. You walk into a room and you're calm, you're present, you're confident. That means you've battled your demons. It means you've acknowledged your demons, you acknowledge your struggles, your faults, you've resolved them. And like men, we all have them. Every single one of us has some shit we're carrying. You have to let it go. You have to learn to let it go. It's like that old saying, right? It's like, like hating someone is like drinking poison, expecting it to kill them. It's just killing you.
Yeah.
Just slowly killing you and taking away your peace, your purpose, and your productivity. Best thing I did in my life was forgiving those people that had hurt me. In turn, I was able to forgive myself for a lot of stupid shit. that's more than motivation. That's how you develop that identity. And this is kind of the last part of the podcast today is, so in your experience, Shay, what are the most significant benefits of cultivating a strong identity in both your personal and your professional life?
Yeah, it's like I said, man, peace. Once you find out who you are and, what makes you happy and the people around you and you just become at peace of what you want to do in your life and what your hobbies are and everything, you'll be the happiest person. You'll automatically get up easier in the morning. You'll automatically go to the gym easier. You'll eat better just naturally because, like, I have my hobbies I like to do, and nobody else likes my hobbies. I don't care. It's what makes me happy. It's what gives me peace, and I do it. And because I just worry about, myself and like the close people around me. I just worry about them. I have my small circle of friends and we're just happy because we don't care if people don't like that we go to the gym or we have our hobbies or we do this or do that. But if it makes you happy, just your life would be so much better. I mean, look what's going on in the world now, but am I going to take it to heart? Yeah, it's negative. But if you're not at peace with yourself, then everything going on in the world is going to impact you twice as hard. Twice as
Good
hard.
point.
Yeah. So you just got to be at peace at yourself. Try to be, and hey, I'm not saying it's easy. It took me freaking 28 years to figure this out.
Yeah.
It took me a lot of stress, a lot of alcohol, a lot of bad shit to figure out my peace. But now that I've been the happiest I've ever been now that I finally found peace and talking to people and, actually opening up to a psychiatrist and stuff like that and talking about all these points. And that's why when I go to the gym and there's this one good friend of mine that walks on the treadmill beside me every morning and he finds life hard sometimes and stuff like that. And I know part of my walking, my job is to make him smile and laugh in the morning and send him off to work in a good mood. Whether I pick on him, whether I just say stupid shit, whether I just make him laugh somehow or something. And then he leaves that, he does his day. And then I hope he's having a better day for it, you know? And you realize how powerful that is. You just making somebody smile for 10, 15 minutes on the treadmill, they're walking beside you. Don't talk about politics. Don't talk about this. Just talk about
Yeah.
something you're both interested in, laugh, whatever. You send him off. You have no idea how good that could make his day just by doing that, you know?
Such a good point. It's such a good point, man. Yeah. Serving other people is the greatest act that we possibly have. It's why I love what I do. And like, it's so nice that you do that. And, like, I know I appreciate, and I'm sure the listeners appreciate everything you're sharing. Cause like, this is lived experience. Right. And I think a lot of the time as men, we're just like, oh, I failed and I've wasted all this. Like, don't worry about what you've wasted. Like, you can't change what's happened, but you can do something about what you're currently doing now and what you want to do in the future. And it's okay to ask for help. No one's going to think you're weaker for it.
Oh.
Right? It's okay to say, hey, you know what? I'm struggling right now. I'm struggling with mental health, struggling with drugs, alcohol, food, whatever it is. The thing is, like, I think what's so important when it comes to understanding this motivation and habit and lifestyle and identity thing, the first step in it is actually acknowledging what your problem is. What's your why? Why are you doing this? Why are you motivated to lose weight? Why are you motivated to give up drugs or alcohol? Why are you motivated to improve your quality of life right now? Oh, because I want to lose a few pounds. It's not good enough. It's great. It's not good enough, though. It's not going to sustain you. It's not going to fuel you for the long run. So why? So any of the listeners sitting there like I didn't get sentenced to life in prison and figure, oh yeah, okay.
Turn my life around today.
Yeah, like this is going to be easy. I'm just going to get out. Like, no, there was in the beginning, it was just bad days. Like, you guys have to understand, you're on suicide watch when you're sentenced to life in prison. You're on suicide watch for the first 2 days. You're in isolation because it's a high risk you're going to take your life. There's a lot of dark days before the days get lighter.
Yeah. Yeah. I
You
want
know, and
people
I'm
to,
and I'm forever grateful, and I know you're forever grateful to the people who sat with us in the darkness until we found our way back to the light.
hell yeah. Yeah. Because I was like that line where I could have went on this side or that side was so thin, and somebody found me and they pulled me back on the good side, and I was so close to going the other way. And my best friend found me, saved me, and rebuilt me. I'll always be grateful and everything else. And yeah, like my buddy on the treadmill, if he's struggling or something like that, I will make him laugh. I will do anything to friggin' send him off to have a good day, because
Yeah.
someone did that to me, and I will 100% return it to someone else that's needs it, that's there, that's willing to put in the work, everything else. Then it wasn't like my best friend saved me and I didn't do anything. Like, it takes two of you. It takes somebody saving you, but you have to
Yes.
mentally say, all right, he's helping me. I got to do it. I got to write the new date on the paper. It's not 2001. It's not 2000 anymore. It's 2001. I'm writing that new date. So yeah.
You have to put in the work. You have to put in the work.
Yeah. That's a
That's the one
lot of
thing
work.
I tell guys I mentor is like, I'm going to help you as much as I can. I'm going to support you. I'm going to give you the tools and resources that helped me when I was incarcerated. In the end, you have to do all the work. No one's going to do it for you. Just like when my PO gave me my correctional plan. Tyson, here's your correctional plan. This is what I need you to do. There were days I was not highly motivated to do things. There were days, like you said, you just want to stay in your bed. You just want to say, you know what? I'm tired. I'm sick of this shit. There's not even a guarantee I'm going to get the results I'm after. There's not even a guarantee I'm going to get my damn parole. Right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? Is like, are you going to focus on like the guarantee? Get that out of your head. Nothing's guaranteed.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is not guaranteed for anyone listening to this right now.
Yeah.
There are no guarantees in life except for death and taxes.
Yeah.
So you're going to squander the gift. You're going to squander the gift, the opportunity that we've been presented with, and sit there and, well, life's not fair. Yeah, life isn't fair. Life's hard. So get harder.
Do you know the
Right?
stats?
You got to train your mind. Sorry?
Do you know the stats of you getting out? Do you know what this, like me?
So back, like now they're easier because
Okay.
of the government we have in. But
Okay.
when I was in, it's low.
Yeah.
To get your dates, you can get out eventually.
Yeah.
But to get your dates as a lifer, it's really rare. I don't know the exact stats, and I don't even know like how accurate they are, the ones they would provide anyways.
Mhm.
But like the thing, and this is something that I need people to understand. There's a few things, right? Comes to your mind, need to train it like a grandmaster. Because life's a game of chess, not checkers. All right, so you got to be strong here. It starts here.
Yeah.
Right? You need to train your body like you're going to war, because your body is your armor. Right? It's not about building muscle. It's not about your six pack. Your body is a direct visual representation of your discipline, of you caring about yourself, about giving a damn about yourself. When I see a fat person, like, look, I know you're struggling. I've been fat. I've been overweight. I've struggled with this stuff. When I see someone who is overweight, I see someone who's giving up. Someone who's checked out. It's not your genetics. It's not your genetics. It's something deeper. So if you're struggling with weight, why are you struggling? Motivation is not going to carry you. Why are you struggling? Be honest about it. And if you can't be honest about it, go see someone who can help you. Go see a specialist.
Yeah.
Go get an assessment done. Then don't ask someone you love to give you an honest assessment, because they're going to be too worried to offend you, because let's face it, too many people are, oh, I can't believe you said that. Oh, I'm not going to talk to you anymore.
Yeah.
Like, no, go get someone who is unbiased. The only way that anyone here stands a chance of starting their road to redemption and actually becoming successful in traveling it and succeeding are people that are willing to not just be motivated, but are willing to put in the work that'll help them develop the identity that's required to be successful.
Yeah.
Because you and I, we don't need motivation to go to the gym.
Yeah.
I don't even need discipline to go to the gym. You don't need discipline to go to the gym. Jay, you training today? I don't even need to ask you. You train? No. Like, I know Jay knows our schedule. I know he's rolling in. Our schedules our training sessions are at 9 a.m. I know at 8 a.m. Jay is rolling in there to go do an hour of walking.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's who he is. He doesn't need motivation to do it. Oh, I didn't sleep well. Oh, I didn't eat. Like, no, Jay's still there doing it.
Yeah.
That's what separates the elite. That's what separates the 1%. Remember, like I said in the beginning, and like Jay's talked about, motivation is fleeting. Your identity, that is what's going to sustain you in the long run. That is what is going to help you succeed. Nothing guarantees success, but it improves your chances of succeeding.
Yeah.
So Jay, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, people, like, I like the thing you talked about when you said guarantee, if you don't have a guarantee, I had a 9% chance to make it at GTF. 9%. That's your statistics for making it. So you start off with all those people, and out of all those people, 9% of all those people make it. And that's why I asked you if you knew the stats of a lifer getting out. I don't know if it's 20%, 25% of lifers get out.
I'd probably say it's probably somewhere close to that, like 9, 10% to get their dates. Yeah. Not getting out, to get their dates.
Right. So I had a 9%.
And that's what I promised myself was like, I'm getting my dates.
Exactly.
So 9% for you.
Yeah, I had 9% chance to make it. And I spent a year training everything I had for a 9% chance. There was no friggin' guarantee. It wasn't even in my favor. It wasn't even close to being in my favor.
Sounds like the Hunger Games. The odds are not in your favor.
Yeah.
It's
like, but I want to tell people, like, there's no guarantees of nothing. And the percentage you make it is not on your side until you fix this. Once you fix this, the odds are going to go up more and more on your side, Like they say, life is 90% mental unless you're out of shape. Then it's just 100% hard.
Yeah. And that's why it's important you start with one thing.
Yeah.
Like improve on one thing. Everything else is going to follow. Don't try to do it all at once. And I'm not telling everyone here, like, I know we've covered a lot, and I sometimes go on rants. Sorry, not sorry. That's the way it is. But like, start with one thing. Yeah. Go for a walk. Start, and then, like, with something positive, just start with gratitude. Walk in gratitude, and you can do them at the same time. Multitask. I know for men that's hard. My wife always teases me about that. We're not good at multitasking, but even I can walk and do gratitude, right? Do some mindful breathing when I'm outside. Really trying to work more on intentful breathing throughout my day. Game changer, right? Small things, but when you're willing to try new things, to make small things to improve your life just gets better. Doesn't guarantee it's going to get better, but it does get better over time. You just got to give it time. And motivation doesn't give you enough time to kind of see the fruit of your. So just work at it diligently. Don't give up. Don't give up easily.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Jay, thank you for being here today. I want to thank our listeners for tuning in to another episode of From Shadows to Strength, and stay tuned for our next episode. Thank you.